So the next question is mine. It says Eva seemed upset with Malia. Why do you think she is upset with her? Question mark. Do you think it had anything to do with that April and Antonio mess earlier in the day? Absolutely. I think Eva was very confused. I think she was hurt. I think she was just like, what the hell is going on with my friend? I think Malia is a person right now going through a real transformation. And I don't think that she knows how to tell people, this is where I'm at and this is what I'm thinking. I think that she's making some choices and doing some things that Eva is probably just shocked as hell. Like, I've known you since we were 13, 14 years old. I've never seen this side of you. Like, what's going on? Like, we're best friends. I thought you would tell me. And the fact that you would go to Antonio, like, girl, you didn't even run that by me. Like, do you think I should go over there or not? Like, sometimes with your friends, like I know for Alicia and Kyrie, if I know I'm gonna do something, might land me in jail or whatever, or just it might not be a good thing. I'll read, and I've never been to jail, but I could have, right? But I'll reach out to them. I'll be like, what do you guys think about that first? And they'll be like, Karina, just don't do it. Like I had said about that person who sent me that friend request, and I was going to light her up, you know what I'm saying? And they was like, Karina, just stop it. Just don't be petty. I was like, okay, I'll let it go, you know. But sometimes with your friends, like you will reach out to them because you know they're going to be the voice of reason. I think Eva was really just frustrated with her. She was like, you know, you came in this morning, you were acting strange. I asked you if everything was okay. Yeah, everything's fine. You know, everything's cool. You didn't say, girl, I made a mistake. I went over to Antonio's house last night. I got drunk. I tried to come on to him. You know, like she could have prepared her for it. But I think that in Malia's mind, she's probably thinking, Eva's going to tear me up. Eva going to tell me, girl, you tripping. What were you thinking, right? So I do think that Eva is hurt. I think she's like, what's going on with my friend? I think she's worried about her. I think there's a lot going on. What are y'all's thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree. And, Eva feels like Malia's causing a lot of unnecessary drama, not only for herself, but everybody around. So, all that you said, I 100% agree.
Um, Same here. I think Eva is upset because she's, I mean, a lot just popped off, and she didn't know anything. Like she was blindsided by all of this. They having a normal day at work, and out of nowhere, this woman comes in, throwing shoes and breaking up stuff, and you slept with my man, and Eva's like, wait a minute, what you did? What? Especially since she's not saying anything. She's just standing there like, oh snap, looking all kinds of guilty. Yeah. So yeah, it definitely had to do with a lot. She's still taking it in. I know if I was in Eva's shoes and me and Karina are somewhere and somebody came in throwing shoes and breaking stuff, so I'm like, you slept with my man. My first thought, I'd be looking at Karina like, what the fuck? What did you do this? And if she ain't say nothing, I'm like, oh, like let's whoop her ass, but me and you gonna talk. Like we gonna get this shit straight. After we throw her out the store, we let's go in the back and talk. Cause what the fuck? And then to find out, Antonio, she's friends with Antonio too, and it's like, dang, y'all totally blindsided me with this one. So yeah, I think she's still pissed, and she probably didn't even expect Malia to show up. She was sitting there, gave her kind of a half smile. I'm glad you made it. One of them kind of things. Because some messages popped off. So, um, yeah, I think she was still upset about the April Antonio situation.
All right, our next question. Why were so many women in that room okay with how Addison was talking down to Malia? Do you think Addison's reaction is the reason why Malia stays away? Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Um, and I feel like the women in that group, they are going to avoid expressing any disagreement to avoid, conflict, and potentially become Addison's next target, her next victim, and have their dirty laundry aired out too, so they're gonna be like, what she said. And then, yeah, heck yeah, this is exactly why Malia doesn't want to go anywhere. Why she doesn't want to come, because of problems like this, and she knows it's going to happen. And nobody wants to be in an environment where they feel targeted or demeaned or disrespected. So it's like, if I feel that way, I'm not going. If I feel the energy is off even a little bit, I'm not going for this exact reason. I'm not about to sit up somewhere uncomfortable. I've done that far too long, too many years. Church, events, family get-togethers. It causes a lot of stress, and I'm just not doing it anymore, And so, yeah, this is exactly why, Malia didn't want to be there to begin with, because she knew what was going to happen.
I believe a lot of the women were okay with what Addison was saying because they're in the same situation. They got husbands and kids, and they're where they are, because of like family credentials and money and stuff. So it's like, um, especially since Malia, I think in all of their eyes, is kind of a boss. They look at her like, wow, that's what we could be, but they're not. And so, um, you know, Addison talking, her mess, and they're in the same situation. It's kind of giving them that little, yeah, maybe it is okay to be the Stepford wife, or, it is okay. She's taking up for us. Yeah, this is our point of view. It's I think it's one of those things. And then, yeah, they see what Addison is now capable of. They're like, God, this bitch played dirty. If I do say something or I do step out, she gonna be talking about all my dirty draws. My husband, the kids, everything. So now they know what she's capable of, and they don't want that kind of smoke. And then two, it's kind of pumping them up a little bit. Like, okay, even though I think they all secretly desire Malia's life, or even just a piece of it. Like I said, the freedom. Um, yeah, I think that's why they're not saying anything, because they're in the same situation, and that's also, it just the I'm trying to stop cussing. Forgive me, God. The stuff that Addison is saying, I'm just sitting there like MF because I just can't stand Addison right now. But the stuff that Addison is saying, you know, um, is exactly, she's not the stuff that's supposed to be insults. Oh, well, you're 28, you have no kids, you have no husband, blah blah blah, and it's like, nigga, I'm proof that that's not important. Like, look at me. The hell, like, what are you talking about? So and then that's why, because she don't vibe like that. She don't feel like that's what she needs to be successful. She doesn't need um, all that. She's in the same room with them at the same function with, as them, and she ain't got no husband on her arm, and a bunch of little kids on her hips, and she's still there in the same venue, same money, respect, in the community, family, all that, and so yeah. That's why she stay away. She's like, if that's what's important to y'all, because that's not important to me. They have different interests. So,
I agree.
Green.
And it's almost like the bystander effect, where you see something happening, instead of you trying to intervene and say, hey, that's bull, and I'm going to call it out. I'll just pull out my cell phone and just start watching. And so I'm going to be honest, I have a problem with people like that. I've always been that person who I'm standing up for the underdog. I am never going to be in a room anywhere and everybody's like, oh, and she's wearing, and she did it. So did you talk to her about that? Well, no, I mean, she's grown. Yeah. Well, if she's grown, stay out of her mother freaking business. Okay. Because real friends, if there's a problem, you take people off to the side. You don't shade them. And even though, like, Eva's irritated with Malia, she's not airing her out. No, because Antonio came down to the story today with April, and I mean, it was a wreck. That's not what's being said. And she's not airing her friend out, and she's not talking crazy to her. There are ways to address things that you don't agree with or you don't like. But we have a lot of people who would rather pull out a cell phone, who would rather watch a car accident than to intervene. I've never been the type of person who would sit back and watch you be mean to somebody and be like, it's not me. Because what I've always learned is that, no, it's not me right now, but my turn is coming too. If you are that person, you pick a fight with everybody, eventually I'm going to have a turn soon and you're going to pick a fight with me. I remember this one girl and I thought she was like super cool. And I started noticing she started going down her friends list. And she'd be like, oh, and so and so, and she's being, and I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what happened? I don't know. I just like her vibe, like her energy. She's just being weird. And I'm like, so you haven't had a conversation with her, but you're upset with her. She's like, she hasn't been liking my posts lately. I don't like her stuff either. And I unfollowed her. And I'm like, but you didn't have a conversation with her. And so eventually this went on for over a month. And the other girl reached out and was like, hey, is everything okay? Because I feel like you're upset with me. And she's like, no, I thought you were upset with me. She's like, that's a real friend. A real friend would reach out. And I said, but you didn't reach out to her. You literally started talking about her to everybody in the group. And I kept being like, I don't think that's it. I think her grandparents passed away and some other things are going on in her life. I really don't think that she's trying to just look past your post. And if you're judging how many posts that you put out per week and per day, and if I have to like and comment on each one, I mean, it got to the point where this person was like, if you weren't commenting and liking, then you had a problem with her. And I was like, okay, see, this is the problem. And everybody's like, well, maybe, or, you're beautiful and people are haters. And I was like, okay, here we go with the bystanders standing back and pumping up this foolishness instead of saying, you know what? I don't think it's like that. But people will sit back and they'll be okay with what's being said because deep down on some level, it feels good not to be the person being talked about. And I've heard people say like, I shouldn't have, just went with the crowd, but I'm so used to being the person everybody dislikes. And it was just really fun to be on the other side of that where we're being the mean girls. And I was like, how old are you? Like, you in your 30s talking about it's fun to be a mean girl? Girl, get out of here. You're not 8. Grow the freak up and being crazy. So yeah, I definitely believe that people were in that room and they were okay with that mistreatment because they believe a lot of that same thing as well. They have that same notion where they're just like, Addison's right. And like Alicia said, they feel like if I jump out of line, maybe she's gonna air me out a little bit too. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe my grandfather ran off, with one of the maids, and we ain't seen him since in the Bermuda. Like, people have family skeletons, and maybe they're like, I don't want her to expose that. But everybody was acting like her reaction was warranted, and they're toasting each other like, yeah, girl, you said that to Malia. Like, you guys are toasting about trying to put somebody down. Like, okay, it's really sad. But that's what we see people do.